My name is Paul de Touré. I'm the content editor for Movin'On Minutes. I'm here with Dayon, the President and Chief Strategy Officer of Salesforce. Welcome to Movin'On.
Thank you, Paul, for having me.
It's a pleasure to be here. Now, Salesforce is known primarily or initially for the cloud computing revolution that you did with the CRM software, customer relations management, but you've gone on to do much more than that.
Yes. Yeah, no, Salesforce just celebrated its 20 years anniversary, so started 20 years ago by a very simple business plan. When Mark and Parker started the company, our two founders, the business plan was basically, what if enterprise software was like Amazon? And at that time, Amazon was a big disruption because you were going online, buying stuff, without having to wonder about which computer runs the system. You just had to create an account and enjoy your experience. And their vision was, well, enterprise software should be as simple. You should not have to worry about version, you should not worry about security, it should be just an online experience. And that was the birth of cloud computing. And fast forward, obviously, now we are the leader in CRM because everything's getting connected. I mean, this conference is very exciting because there is not a single experience you have here and Movin'On that is not a connected experience. Yeah. In fact, mobility is probably the most connected thing you can do because all those services actually somewhere are accessible through the cloud, whether it's a car, it's a ride-hailing service, it's a scooter in the street. All those experiences are being connected, and behind every experience there is a customer. And that's why CRM is so strategic for a lot of people around here.
That's right, because people are quite quick to talk about the technology of connectivity and look at it from a hardware or a software perspective, but this connectivity is seeking to link people with experiences, products, and services. Exactly. And that's more than just providing the basic building blocks of it. The experience has to be pleasant, it has to be inclusive, it has to be intuitive, and I think that's one of the places where, when we look at all the players looking to develop mobility as a service, the same way that you've done software as a service, this might be a missing link where the customer experience has to be put front.
I think you just hit the nail on its head, which is connectivity. At the end of the day, it's not about the technology of data moving from a connected car or connected device to a cloud. It's really about you as a customer, because the race is on. The best companies are defining your expectation. In fact, Uber is probably redefining your expectation in terms of mobility. You want everything to be as simple. Right. You want to know how many minutes the car is going to take to show up. Is it around the corner or not? It's about your experience. Your experience is about how do you capture new customers as your marketing, how do you service those customers, what are your mobile experience. All those things makes whether or not the business is going to be successful or not in mobility. And that's why for Salesforce, our job is actually to make the technology, to make those experiences possible. So our customers, whether it's Michelin, but also many companies who are here today, BMW is out there, Total, I mean, there's a lot of companies who are Salesforce customers. They're using us to really partner deeply in transforming their customer experience, leveraging all our different technologies.
I'd like to hear more about that, because when I think of Michelin or BMW, these are established companies. They've done very well for a very long time. I would think they understand well already what it is their customers expect, but this is perhaps about trying to determine what their customers don't know they need yet, or how they can fulfill the next series of wants or needs or experiences?
So all those companies are first and foremost pretty, I would say, common needs in terms of optimizing their current business process, whether they're selling, whether they're marketing, or they're servicing. They need platform to do that. Right. You need platform to know which customer is in your pipeline, who's selling which customer. Sometimes they have multiple products to sell to their customers. So all those companies you just mentioned, like BMW or Michelin, have been using Salesforce for actually quite a long time for core business processes, but there's something bigger happening, which is the core business processes used to be traditionally fairly B2B in a weird way. Even though these are B2C brands, their real buyers are their channels. The middleman who's selling the product to the end customer. Now with connectivity, you just touched on connectivity, those brands suddenly start connecting to their end users. And somehow the user and the customer are not completely the same, but they are kind of merging in a weird way. And that's where actually CRM becomes very strategic, because you also need to know who is your end user. And you need to deliver those new experiences. Something very exciting we've done with Michelin is the connected tires. You know, now if you are, for example, a professional with a truck, or a tractor in a farm, your Michelin tires are actually connected to your profile in Salesforce in the cloud, which means that you can proactively detect if the usage of the tire is right or wrong, if there is a problem coming, and you can automatically replenish the stock of your local distributor with the right tires so the customers has in stock what he needs based on the usage pattern. In the past, it was, look, do you have this available or not? Oh, I don't know, let me call my provider. Well, now this whole ecosystem is connected and very efficient together. Better customer experience, obviously better distributor performance, and for Michelin, a deep knowledge of all their customers to build better products down the road. So you see how those things connected together create a lot of value for the ecosystem. And all that is only made possible because of a CRM platform.
That's very interesting, because this idea that we can actually have a better customer experience, in the past, the way to get that was to go high-end. You'd go for a luxury a market, and then yes, of course, whatever you want, you can have it very quickly when you want, and there's a cost associated with that. But traditionally, if you're just dealing with a regular B2B situation, as you said, would you have this tire? Yes, it'll be 2 to 8 weeks. Well, I'm a farmer, I need my tire yesterday because it broke. So now you're actually saying that you can save money and provide a better customer experience.
That's clearly the big transformation that all companies are going through. You mentioned luxury. I have obviously a lot of Salesforce customers in the luxury segment. But what's crazy, what's happening with the connectivity is, and let's take Uber, which is another Salesforce customer. You have kind of a VIP experience with Uber because your phone becomes kind of your concierge, and it does the whole work for you, and you can pick the car you want, if you want cheap, expensive, comfortable. So it's kind of a pretty VIP experience that you're getting uniquely through technology at scale. And I think now it's really, what you just say is very important, which is that's the standard you want. Any brand you want to work with, you want to be treated like a special person, regardless of the product. And that's what technology can enable, and that's why CRM is actually so strategic today. CRM today is the largest IT market. It's bigger than ERP, it's bigger than any other segment in the IT industry for one single reason. The most important asset you have, whatever business you're in, is your customer. There's nothing more important in a digital world than your customer, because your customer, the cost of switching in connected services is very low. And you want to really make sure you understand your customer, you service your customer, you market your customer in a very targeted, real-time way. And that's basically what drives Salesforce strategy in terms of product and services.
If the cost of switching is so low, then as a provider, you have to make sure the benefit of staying is very, very high. And rich. And evolving.
And that's, now you're tapping into the theme of the conference, which is mobility. And I think mobility is going through a massive transformation. That's also why we are a partner. We are a partner here because there's really two themes that are dear to our heart. The first one is sustainability. We believe that business are the biggest platform for change. And Salesforce, we really have a focus on 5 initiatives, and sustainability is one of those 5 initiatives in terms of making the world a better place. And for example, when you run on the Salesforce cloud, you are you're carbon neutral. You're net zero in terms of carbon footprint, because we make sure we use renewable energy in our data centers, so we deliver on our promise to our customer. The second element of this conference, which is also dear to our heart, is mobility. Because mobility is probably the most impacted area in the 4th industrial revolution. The world is shifting at a pace we've never seen with connectivity, you just touched on that, but also 60% of the world population in the next 20 years will live in cities.
In the cities,
Urban mobility needs to change. You can't have more cars in cities, we know that. It's just not happening.
It's not going to happen.
So whatever you do in mobility today, your business is going to change dramatically. Whether you're making tires, you're making cars, you do ride-hailing, all those businesses are actually actors of change, because as consumers, our pattern of using mobility are going to change dramatically. And all those experiences around mobility are going to have to rely on a different way of using those services, but each of those usage will require a deep CRM and a deep connectivity with your service provider. If you're a car manufacturer, you won't sell more cars. You're going to sell more trips using your cars and your brand will have a series of values in terms of being sustainable or not, or luxury or not. I mean, each of us have different priorities in our life. Maybe you want luxury and comfort. Maybe I want sustainability. And maybe the person behind the camera wants cost. We all want kind of to ride differently because it's just the way we are.
Yeah.
And sometimes we change because sometimes we evolve or we have different moods during the day. And of course, every brand's going to have to deliver all those services. But all those services at the end of the day needs to be marketed, needs to be delivered through mobile apps, and needs to be serviced. And all that requires a CRM platform. And there's another theme that we want to discuss this afternoon, which is the digital cities, because now you start having all those mobility operators in your cities, and you start to really optimize them together. And you start to deliver to the citizen of a city multimodal transportation.
Yeah.
You need actually a common platform, a digital platform, kind of an operating system in a city that enables actually to connect all those different things. And Salesforce, we have a platform called MuleSoft, which is an API platform, and which is a very powerful vision because it's really about a city should be actually an API platform. A city should have a set of API. Everything available physically in a city should have an API double, like the curb. Instead of having a meter in the curb, you should have an API in the cloud. Your car could pay for the parking. You don't
need the actual
Why do you need that stupid physical device? It has a GPS location. In fact, it has already very often an API, but it's not open source. You could connect that API to your car. You could connect that API to Uber for a drop-off. You could connect that API to many things. Traffic lights. Everything in a city could become actually a digital infrastructure. And that's a theme that we are passionate about because we're working on a couple of cities to look at how technology and the cloud can really transform the future of city with 3 goals in mind. The first one is optimization, because as the population grows, we need to continue to optimize the way cities are operating. The second one is monetization. 60% of cities' revenue come from parking fees and tickets. So if you remove the cars, you remove a lot of your income.
Revenue from those infractions.
Exactly. And you pay for it. And the third is obviously sustainability. Depending on cities, those 3 things are in different orders, but they're always there. And they're always in. There's always a clarity on the prioritization depending on the city you're dealing with. So that's the other area about this conference that is very exciting because everybody's here. And we can all really share ideas and look at how we can, through technology, connect for a better world.
When you spoke with the common APIs, that resonates with a lot of the sessions that I've seen here where people are talking about smart cities, they're talking about common data platforms to be able to build for more than just one custom solution at a time, because otherwise it's very slow to implement these things. And that for autonomous vehicles, for multimodal transportation, for road safety, it's all digital, it's all data, but right now there isn't really a common standard. How do you think we're going to get there?
Well, here's, I would say, that's why platforms and APIs are so critical to the future of cities, because a city should be an app store somehow. You should think of a city. When I arrive in Montreal, I should go to the App Store and look at the Montreal app. There is probably an app for mobility, an app for my taxes. A city is just a set of services that are consumer-facing, but also there are services that are also city-facing, like, for example, emergency services.
Right.
Emergency services should have actually apps that can reconfigure the city when there's a crisis digitally through a platform, reorganize the traffic lights based on the fire department. I mean, all those things are possible today. It's just the clarity of how do we want to operate the city. And I think we see, I'm really excited about what's happening right now in the digital city discussion, which is we see a lot of elected officials who are really thinking that the past of cities was the physical infrastructure, the future of cities is the digital infrastructure of the city, starting with mobility at the heart of that journey.
I think that's a great place to end. Thank you very much for your time, Alex.
Thank you.
That was a great pleasure.
Thanks, Paul.